What's the one thing you'd say to your younger self before your first betrayal?
I remember that Friday like it was etched in stone, the kind of day that starts ordinary and ends up shattering everything you thought you knew about family. I'd been grinding away at the accounting firm in downtown Cleveland, buried in spreadsheets and client audits, the clock ticking past 5 before I even realized it. My 12-hour shift had me dreaming of nothing but kicking off my heels and collapsing into the worn couch at my parents' house, the one place I'd crash-landed after my divorce 2 years ago. Scraping by on alimony and a salary that barely covered the kids' braces and school supplies. Little did I know, while I was out there hustling to keep us afloat, my parents, Ed and Margaret Jenkins, the self-appointed pillars of suburban Ohio respectability, had decided to play interior designer with my children's lives. Pulling into the driveway just as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the manicured lawn they'd bragged about at every family barbecue, I spotted them first. My 10-year-old daughter Emma huddled on the front steps, her knees drawn up, clutching that ragged stuffed bear she'd had since she was a toddler, tears streaming down her cheeks like she'd lost her best friend. My 12-year-old son Jack was pacing the sidewalk, his sneakers kicking up gravel, face red and twisted in that boyish fury that makes you worry he'll punch a wall, or worse, himself. "Mom!" Emma cried out the second she saw my car, scrambling to her feet and throwing herself at me before I could even turn off the engine. I dropped my purse, keys jangling on the pavement, and wrapped her up tight, my heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. "What happened, baby? Why are you out here?" Jack stormed over, words tumbling out in a rush. "They took our stuff, Mom. Everything. Grandma and Grandpa said it was for Tyler. He needs the bigger room now." Tyler. My nephew, Lisa's golden boy, the 11-year-old they treated like he'd invented sliced bread. I felt that cold knot form in my stomach, the one that always twisted whenever favoritism reared its ugly head in our family. Straightening up, I took their hands and marched inside, the screen door banging behind us like a warning shot. The house smelled of Mom's pot roast, the kind she whipped up to play the doting grandmother card, but the living room was chaos, boxes stacked haphazardly, labeled in Dad's blocky handwriting. Jack's junk, Emma's toys. Upstairs, their rooms, our rooms, the only private spaces we'd carved out in this overcrowded colonial relic, were stripped bare. Posters of superheroes and pop stars ripped down, leaving sticky tape marks on the walls. Bedding gone, drawers emptied, even the little night light Emma insisted on. In the master bedroom, once my parents' guest overflow, Tyler's gaming console now sat proudly on a new desk, his clothes spilling out of the closet like he'd claimed the kingdom. My parents appeared at the top of the stairs, Dad with his arms crossed over his flannel shirt, that stubborn jaw set like he was defending the Alamo, Mom wringing her apron, eyes wide with feigned innocence. "Sarah, honey, don't make a scene," Mom started, descending a step. "It was just practical. Tyler's getting so big, and he visits every other weekend. Your kids have the basement, plenty of space down there." Dad nodded, grunting. "Family helps family, right? Lisa's struggling as a single mom too, you know." "Struggling?" I bit back the laugh that bubbled up, bitter and sharp. Lisa, my younger sister by 5 years, with her part-time gig at the boutique and Dad's endless loans that never got repaid, while I juggled full-time work, PTA meetings, and soccer practices alone. My kids, Emma with her asthma checkups and Jack with his straight-A report cards, reduced to basement squatters. Emma whimpered beside me, burying her face in my skirt, and something snapped, not loud, not explosive, but a quiet, steel-hard resolve that I'd been building brick by brick over years of slights. I knelt down again, smoothing her hair, and looked Jack square in the eye. "Go get whatever you can find. We're packing up." Their eyes widened, hope mixed with confusion, but they nodded and bolted to the basement, where at least their school bags survived. My parents exchanged glances, Dad scoffing, "You're overreacting, Sarah. Where you gonna go?" "Back to that leaky apartment." I stood slow, voice calm as a winter lake, the kind that hides depths you don't want to plumb. "Get your bags," I repeated, louder now, for them to hear. "We're leaving. Tonight." The room went still. Mom gasped, hand to her chest like I'd suggested skydiving without a parachute. You can't be serious. The kids need a stable home. Stable, I thought, after you bulldoze their worlds for a nephew who barely knows their names? Dad stepped forward, trying that authoritative tone he used at his old factory job. This is my house, young lady. You don't get to waltz in but I cut him off with a raised hand, pulling my phone from my pocket and snapping a quick photo of the gutted rooms, the evidence stacking up in my mind like unpaid bills. You've made your choice clear, I said, even as my pulse thrummed with the secret I'd been nursing. For months, since finding that old envelope in Dad's desk, the one with Grandpa's will notations, hints of unequal shares and hidden clauses, I'd been consulting quietly with Mark, my lawyer friend, piecing together a plan that could upend their tidy little favoritism empire. Not yelling, not threats, but something sharper, more permanent. As Jack and Emma dragged duffels down the stairs, stuffed with whatever scraps they could salvage, a favorite book here, a hoodie there, Mom tried the tears, the guilt trip supreme. Think of the family, Sarah. Blood's thicker than water. I zipped up the last bag, slinging it over my shoulder, and met her gaze. Maybe for you it is. But not anymore. Dad blocked the door, face reddening. You walk out, don't come crawling back. I smiled then, thin and knowing, fishing the envelope from my purse, the faded paper crackling like dry leaves, and holding it up just long enough for them to register the notary seal, the family crest watermark. Their eyes narrowed, confusion flickering. What's that? Dad demanded, voice dropping an octave. I tucked it away, herding the kids toward the car. Insurance, I said simply. You'll see. We loaded up under the porch light, the air thick with unspoken accusations, my parents watching from the doorway like sentinels at a funeral. Emma waved tentatively. Jack shot them a glare, and I backed out, tires crunching gravel, the house shrinking in the rearview. My hands gripped the wheel tight, mind racing to the motel I'd booked on my lunch break, the first step in a chain reaction they couldn't imagine. But as the taillights faded, I caught Dad pulling out his phone, dialing someone, Lisa, probably, and wondered just how deep their denial ran and how sweet it would be when my plan unfolded, one calculated move at a time. Little did they know, this wasn't the end of the fight. It was the spark that would light up all their carefully hoarded secrets. That first night on the run felt like a bad dream I couldn't shake, the motel's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead as I checked us in, the clerk barely glancing up from his crossword while Emma clutched her bear like a lifeline and Jack lugged our duffels with the grim determination of a soldier. It was one of those roadside joints off the interstate, the kind with faded bedspreads and a coffee pot that tasted like regret, but it beat the alternative, crawling back to my parents' house with my pride in tatters. We'd driven in silence mostly, the kids staring out at the passing semis, until Emma piped up from the back seat, "Are we ever going home, Mom?" Home. What a loaded word. I glanced in the rearview, forcing a smile. This is just a pit stop, sweetie. We're building our own home now. Jack snorted, yeah, away from Grandpa's stupid rules, and I let out a small laugh, the kind that's half relief, half hysteria, because for the first time in years, I felt the weight lifting, even if just a little. By morning, reality crashed back in with my phone exploding, 20 missed calls from Mom, texts piling up like junk mail. Where are you? This is ridiculous, Sarah. The kids need their routine. Dad's were shorter, gruffer, turn around before you regret it. I ignored most, sipping weak motel coffee while the kids scarfed down cereal from the lobby machine, but one from Lisa caught my eye. Mom's freaking out. Tyler's asking why the room's changed. Call me. Tyler. Of course. As if this wasn't messy enough without dragging her perfect little family into it. I flashed back to how we'd all ended up under one roof in the first place, me, fresh off the divorce from my ex, Tom, who skipped town with his secretary and left me with custody and a mountain of debt. My parents had offered the basement setup as a temporary favor, their words, back when Dad was still semi-retired from the auto plant and Mom volunteered at church bake sales. It started okay, me covering groceries, fixing the leaky faucet, even mowing the lawn on weekends, but over time, the scales tipped. Lisa breezed in with her dramas, Tyler in tow for quality time, and suddenly my kids were the interlopers, their noise too loud, their needs too much. I'd swallowed it all, telling myself it was for stability, but seeing those empty rooms? That was the line they crossed, turning my children's sanctuary into storage for the favored grandson. Emma finished her bowl and tugged my sleeve. Can we go to the pool? The motel had a sad little indoor one, but it sounded like heaven after the chaos. I nodded, but before we could move, a knock rattled the door, sharp, insistent. Heart jumping, I peered through the peephole, Lisa, looking harried in her yoga pants and ponytail, with Tyler slouched beside her, backpack slung over one shoulder. Sarah? Open up. Mom sent me to talk sense into you. I hesitated, then unlatched, stepping aside as they filed in, the room shrinking with the awkwardness. Tyler mumbled a hi, avoiding my eyes, and plopped on the bed, pulling out his tablet like this was no big deal. Lisa hugged me stiffly, whispering, "What the heck are you doing?" "They're losing it back home." I pulled away, crossing my arms. "What I'm doing is protecting my kids from being treated like second-class citizens in their own family." She rolled her eyes, that familiar sisterly dismissal. "It's not that bad. Tyler just needs space. For his stuff. He's got that big science project coming up." Science project. Right. While Jack's robotics kit gathered dust in the garage because no room. I bit my tongue, but the kids exchanged looks, Emma edging closer to me. Tyler, oblivious, started chattering about his new setup, how cool the master bedroom was with the better Wi-Fi, and I felt that rage simmer again, hot and unjust. Lisa kept pushing, "Come back, at least for dinner. Dad's grilling. Family sticks together." Sticks together, I thought, like how you stuck me with the holiday cooking last year while you recovered from your breakup. But I played it cool, nodding along until she relaxed, then casually asked Tyler, "Hey, bud, you like your new room? Grandma clear out anything fun for you?" He shrugged. "Nah, it was mostly girl stuff and old toys. Kinda lame." Emma's face crumpled, and Jack's fists clenched. Lisa shot me a warning glance, but the damage was done. That's when I spotted it, peeking from Lisa's purse on the chair, a folded letter with Mom's handwriting addressed to her. Curiosity won, and while she stepped out to take a call, I unfolded it quick. "Dear Lisa, we've set aside extra from the trust for Tyler's college. Don't tell Sarah. She wouldn't understand." The trust. Grandpa's old oil royalties from the family farm, the ones Dad managed like his personal piggy bank. My blood ran cold. This was the clue I'd suspected, proof of the favoritism baked in from the start. I snapped a photo with my phone, heart pounding, and slipped it back just as Lisa returned. "Everything okay?" she asked, suspicious. "Fine," I lied, voice steady. "Just thinking about how fair everything's been." To twist the knife without drawing blood, I waited till they left, Lisa promising to relay my concerns, then fired off a group text to the family chain, the one with all the aunts, uncles, and cousins who loved a good stir at reunions. Attached a innocent-sounding photo of Tyler's gaming setup from the doorway. I'd grabbed it on the way out last night, captioned, "New digs for the champ. Hope the science project doesn't mind the upgrades." Subtle enough to spark questions, but loaded with the hint of excess while my kids made do with motel vibes. By the time we hit the pool, my phone was dinging Aunt Carol. "Wait, they moved the kids?" "Uncle Mike, sounds fishy." Gossip brewing, the perfect low-key revenge that had Lisa texting back furious emojis, but no real comeback. The afternoon dragged, the kids splashing while I paced the edge, dialing Mark under my breath. "It's worse than we thought," I whispered when he picked up, glancing at the letter pic. "The will, unequal distribution, and they've been hiding it for Lisa." He whistled low. "That's contestable, Sarah. Get me the originals." I hung up as the sun set, feeling the plan solidify, but then headlights pierced the parking lot. Dad's truck, unmistakable, rumbling to a stop right outside our door, Mom's silhouette waving urgently from the window. They were here, ready to force the issue, and I had seconds to hide the phone before the knocking started, loud and unyielding, wondering if my whispers had been too loud after all. The knocking turned my stomach to ice as I shoved my phone under the pillow, the pool still echoing with the kids' laughter in my ears while Dad's voice boomed through the thin door. "Sarah, open up. We know you're in there." Emma and Jack froze in their swimsuits, towels dripping on the carpet, eyes wide like cornered animals. I shooed them to the bathroom, whispering, "Stay quiet, I'll handle this," before cracking the door just enough to face the storm. There stood my parents, Dad's truck idling behind them like a getaway car, Mom clutching her purse like a shield, her face a mix of worry and that patented disapproval she'd worn since I chose accounting over nursing school. "What in the world are you doing, dragging the kids to this dump?" Dad growled, trying to push past, but I blocked him firm, the door chain rattling. "We're fine. Go home." Mom peered over his shoulder, voice pitching up. "This isn't safe, Sarah. No locks that work, no home-cooked meals. Come back where you belong." Belong. The word hung there, loaded with years of me bending over backward, babysitting Tyler for free dates, covering Mom's car insurance when Dad's pension dipped, even painting the garage last summer while Lisa jetted off to some conference. And what did I get? Basement bedrooms and side-eye for my messy divorce. I felt the envelope's weight in my purse on the dresser, that letter photo burning a hole in my gallery, but spilling it now would just give them ammo to twist. "Belong," I echoed, keeping my tone even, though inside I was boiling like overdone chili. "Like how you made my kids belong in empty rooms for your precious grandson?" Dad's face hardened, the factory foreman in him surfacing. "Tyler's family too. And your family, which means you listen when we say it's time to end this tantrum." Tantrum. That lit the fuse. I stepped out into the breezeway, pulling the door shut behind me, the humid air thick with exhaust from the highway. "A tantrum is what you pulled, Dad. Clearing out their lives without a word. If that's family, count me out." Mom started in with the waterworks, dabbing her eyes. "We just wanted to help everyone. Lisa's going through so much." Lisa. Always the pivot. I crossed my arms, glancing back at the door where I knew the kids were listening, hearts pounding. Part of me wanted to drag this out, make them squirm, but another whispered to cut bait. Think of the kids' school starting soon, the mortgage I'd have to swing solo. Dilemma City, and not the fun kind. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Lisa again. I ignored it, but Dad noticed, smirking. Hiding something? Or just running from responsibility? Irritation spiked, and on impulse, I hit record on my voice memos app, casual as checking the time, letting their voices capture the moment. Mom's pleas, Dad's bluster about my house, my rules. It was petty, sure, but satisfying, like flipping the script without raising my voice. "Responsibility," I said, pocketing the phone. "That's rich, coming from you too." We went back and forth, the argument circling like vultures, until Mom dropped a crumb. "Your father and I talked to Lisa last night. She said things have been tense since the divorce, that maybe we all need counseling." Tense. Understatement of the decade. But it cracked the door, Lisa admitting cracks in the facade. I probed gentle. "What did she tell you about the trust, Mom? The extras for Tyler?" She faltered, eyes darting to Dad, who cleared his throat. "That's private. Family business. Private." Like the letter I'd snapped, proof they weren't just favoring Lisa, they were engineering it, siphoning Grandpa's legacy to prop her up while I drowned. The twist hit me. Lisa's call wasn't just concern, it was her confessing indirectly, maybe guilt eating at her after years of silence. Share the photo now, expose it all and watch them crumble? Or hold it, build the case with Mark for real impact? My gut twisted, revealing might mend fences, but withholding felt like justice, even if it made me the bad guy, pitting sister against sister for scraps. I chose silence for now, saying instead, "Tell Lisa I said hi. And that family's about actions, not words." Dad huffed, "This isn't over," and they retreated to the truck, Mom casting a last pleading look. The second they peeled out, I herded the kids back to the room, drawing them off and promising pizza for dinner to chase the fear. While they changed, I trimmed the audio clip, blurring names, anonymizing voices to "entitled in-laws evict grandkids," and uploaded it to a parenting subreddit, the one with 1 million members sharing nightmare stories. Grandparents clear kids' rooms for nephew, am I wrong to leave? Caption simple, clip attached. By the time the delivery guy knocked, comments were rolling in, NTA run. Sounds like Narcissism 101. Sympathy poured, offers of advice, and even a few local job tips, the viral nudge turning my isolation into a chorus of backup. It felt like a win, witty and low risk, chipping at their narrative without direct confrontation. But as we ate cross-legged on the bed, laughing over cheesy slices, Emma mimicking Dad's grumpy face, Jack high-fiving my bravery, another knock echoed, softer this time. I checked the peephole, not parents, but a social worker, badge glinting under the lights, clipboard in hand. Miss Jenkins? We got a report of child endangerment. Mind if I come in? My blood froze, fork midway to my mouth. They'd gone nuclear, pulling strings I didn't know they had, and the envelope suddenly felt like a paper shield against a storm. How deep did this go, and what would I have to reveal to fight back? The social worker's visit turned out to be a bluff, more smoke than fire, but it left me rattled like a bad jolt from a faulty car battery. She was a no-nonsense type named Karen, mid-40s with a sensible bob and a notepad that she flipped through while eyeing the pizza box on the bed. Your parents filed a welfare check, ma'am. Said you're unstable after a family dispute. Unstable. I almost laughed, but kept it together, offering coffee I didn't have and explaining the room-clearing incident with just enough detail to paint them as the overreaching ones. The kids peeked from the bathroom, wide-eyed, but Karen was fair, asked them a few gentle questions, noted the motel was temporary, and jotted down my work number for follow-up. No red flags here, she concluded, handing me a card. But family counseling might help de-escalate. As she left, I slumped against the door, the weight of it all pressing down. They'd weaponized concern, pulling official strings to reel me back, and it worked enough to make me pack up at dawn, bundling Emma and Jack into the car for a quick drive to my cousin Beth's cabin up near Lake Erie, the one she rented out but let me use off-season. Think of it as an adventure, I told the kids, forcing cheer as we crossed the state line. But inside, doubt gnawed, was I dragging them into instability for pride, or teaching them to stand up? The cabin was a rustic escape, all knotty pine walls and a wood stove that crackled against the autumn chill, with the lake's waves lapping just beyond the porch like a soothing lullaby. We settled in quick, Emma claiming the loft bed, Jack setting up his salvaged console by the window, and for a day, it felt like freedom, baking cookies from a mix and roasting marshmallows over a fire pit, laughter filling the air for the first time in weeks. But reality crept back with my phone, now on silent, but vibrating like a hive, more texts from Mom, a voicemail from Lisa sounding frayed. I stepped out to the dock one evening, the sun setting in oranges and pinks over the water, and finally called Mark. That welfare stunt? They're escalating, I said, voice low. He hummed agreement. Send me everything, the letter photo, any bank statements. Ohio law's on your side for trust disputes if there's proof of bias. Proof. That's what sent me digging that night, while the kids slept, spreading old family photos and documents on the kitchen table under a single lamp. Grandpa's will stared back at me, the envelope's contents more damming up close, notations about equal shares for his 3 grandkids, me, Lisa, and our brother Mike, who died young, but amendments Dad scrawled, diverting advances to Lisa for her hardships, totaling thousands over years, while my name appeared only once, crossed out for a loan I never got. Financial favoritism, plain as day, loans to Lisa's failed boutique that vanished like mist, while I paid full freight on everything from Emma's inhalers to Jack's braces. It hit hard, that twist of history, our parents not just playing favorites, but rigging the game with Grandpa's money, guilt over Dad's early retirement perhaps, or Mom's resentment that Lisa struggled more. Dilemma clawed at me. Blast this to the family group, watch the empire crumble in real time, or suggest therapy first, keep the door cracked for reconciliation. Therapy sounded noble, the adult choice, but using it felt like the justice I'd earned, even if it made me question my own heart. Was I becoming the bitter one, withholding healing for payback? Humor helped diffuse the tension, like when Jack found an old fishing rod in the shed and we spent the afternoon casting lines, him joking, if we catch a big one, we can sell it to buy back our rooms. I chuckled, or trade it for Grandpa's secrets, but the levity faded with a new voicemail that afternoon, from a number I didn't recognize. Rick, Lisa's ex, Tyler's dad, the guy who'd bolted 5 years back for a job in Colorado. Sarah, it's Rick. Heard about the family blow-up, Lisa's been venting to mutuals. I got something you need. My pulse quickened as I called back, pacing the porch while the kids built sandcastles on the shore. His voice was gravelly contrite. Look, I know I'm no saint, but your folks covered my child support tabs to keep Tyler with Lisa, no questions, cash under the table. Got emails, bank transfers. If you can test the trust, this proves their hypocrisy. Alliance? I testify, you cut me in on any windfall. Twist upon twist, Rick, the deadbeat, offering leverage. That could torpedo their perfect narrative, but at what cost? Dragging Tyler into it felt wrong, slimy even, pitting exes against grandparents for a slice of inheritance. Share with Lisa, maybe heal the rift? Or weaponize it, risk everything for the win? I thanked him vague, promising to think, but hung up with my head spinning, the lake's calm mocking my storm. To shake off the unease, I pulled a clever jab that evening, spying a pending family grocery delivery on the shared app Mom used. She'd forgotten to remove me after the split. I rerouted it to Tyler's elementary school cafeteria, adding a note. Extra space for growing boys, enjoy the spread. It arrived during lunch, photos hitting the cousin chat from a teacher, crates of snacks labeled for the Jenkins family, confusion rippling as aunts texted, "What's going on over there?" Dad's furious reply, "Sabotage." But the disorganization shone through, no pickup, food wasted, exposing their scatter without me lifting a finger, a witty poke that had me smirking over hot cocoa with the kids. Satisfaction bloomed, temporary but sweet, until my phone rang again, this time the county clerk's office. Ms. Jenkins, we've received a formal petition from your parents for temporary guardianship evaluation. They're alleging neglect due to your relocation. Court date set for next week. Guardianship. They'd gone full throttle, threatening to take my kids legally, and I sank into a chair, staring at the will papers, realizing the alliance with Rick might be my only play or my undoing. The guardianship petition hit like a gut punch, turning the cabin's cozy refuge into a pressure cooker overnight, with me pacing the creaky floors while Emma and Jack sensed the shift, their games quieter, questions hanging unspoken. "Mom, are we in trouble?" Jack asked one morning over pancakes, his fork stabbing the stack like it owed him money. I ruffled his hair, forcing a grin. "Nah, kiddo. Just grown-up nonsense we'll sort." But inside, the dilemma raged. Rick's offer dangled like forbidden fruit, his emails with those damning transfers a nuclear option that could prove my parents' hypocrisy, covering child support to keep Lisa's image spotless. All from Grandpa's trust meant for us all. Use it, and I'd win the kids, the cash, maybe even respect. Hold back, suggest counseling like the social worker advised, and risk looking weak, letting the favoritism slide for family peace. Peace. What a load of hooey after they'd stripped our rooms and filed papers to steal my children. It made me pause. Was I crossing into their territory, using dirt to destroy, or fighting fire with facts? The kids deserved better than a mom who folded, but at what cost to their world? Mark came through with a plan by noon, his voice steady over a spotty connection, mediations faster than court. Neutral site, bring the will, Rick's statement if you want teeth. You can demand equal redistribution and supervised visits, no more free reign. I agreed, emailing Rick a reluctant yes for the affidavit, guilt twisting as I hit send. Just the facts, I told myself, but it felt spiteful, dragging Tyler's absent dad into the fray. Humor crept in to cope, like when Emma drew a cartoon of us as superheroes battling mean grandparents, and I tacked it to the fridge, joking, our secret weapon. We packed light, driving to the Medina Diner that afternoon, a classic spot with vinyl booths and endless coffee, neutral ground far from Cleveland's family ghosts. The air smelled of grease and pie, a far cry from the tension humming in my veins as we slid into the corner booth, the kids coloring menus while I clutched the envelope and tablet like lifelines. They arrived 10 minutes late, Dad leading with his usual bluster, Mom trailing pale and teary, Lisa beside her with Tyler kicking the baseboard, looking bored but uneasy. No hugs, just nods as they sat across, the waitress hovering awkward before pouring waters. Dad started strong. "This ends now, Sarah. Sign the papers, come home, and we'll forget this foolishness." Forget. I met his eyes, voice calm. Foolishness like clearing my kids' rooms for Tyler? Or filing to take them from me? Mom jumped in, we were worried. This motel cabin hopping isn't stable. Stable, from the people who destabilized us first. Lisa shifted, sis, let's just talk. Tyler misses the cousins. But Tyler mumbled, not really. It's weird at Grandma's now. I laid it out then, sliding the will across the Formica table, Mark's highlights glaring under the fluorescent lights. Grandpa intended equals for me, Lisa, and the kids' futures. But you funneled it to her, Dad. Thousands in loans that vanished while I paid for everything solo. Their faces blanched, Mom whispering, how did you? The envelope's clauses followed. Undue favoritism voids the splits, meaning audits, repayments, the trust's $20,000 reshuffled fare. Lisa's eyes widened. That's not fair, Sarah. You can't just. But I cut in, cueing Rick's affidavit on the tablet, his words reading out cold. Transfers, cover-ups, all to prop her single mom story. Hypocrisy, I said simply. You favored to fix your messes, not ours. Dad sputtered, private business. But the twist came from Tyler, surprising us all. He piped up, face earnest. I don't want the big room, Aunt Sarah. Jack showed me his robot thing once. It was cooler. And Emma's bear? Grandma threw it in a box like trash. Silence fell, Lisa stunned, Mom dabbing tears, Dad's jaw slack. The boy caught in the crossfire, choosing truth over the throne they'd built him. I claimed my ground. Redistribute now or it goes to court. And visits? Only with counseling, no more games. Mark had prepped the forms. I signed digitally, wiring the instructions, the clever loop tying their access to therapy sessions, no cash without change. Dad grumbled agreement, the fight draining out, Mom nodding through sobs. Hugs followed, awkward, stiff, Lisa whispering sorry, Tyler fist-bumping Jack. We walked out into the crisp air, the kids chattering about ice cream rewards, a new apartment maybe, the windfall buying time to breathe. Months blurred after, the trust cleared equal, enough for a down payment on a small house in the suburbs, school routines settling without basement shadows. Cards arrived for birthdays, Mom's handwriting shaky, Lisa's with playdate invites, but Dad's silence echoed loud, no calls, just absence. Emma asked once if we'd see them for Thanksgiving, and I paused, the dilemma lingering. Had I reclaimed us or fractured irreparably? The envelopes piled, olive branches or traps, leaving me to wonder in quiet nights if forgiveness waited, or if some rifts stay open, the real cost of standing tall unwritten still.